How's it going, people? Simon Slabby here. And yeah, massive Runefest summary. There's a huge amount of information that was covered in Runefest. I think I caught most of it, if not all of it. But I may be missing some. But you should get a pretty good idea of all the stuff that's meant to be coming anyway. I haven't got any pictures or videos or anything from Runefest. I didn't actually go. But hopefully one of my mates who actually did go can hopefully send me some pictures and some videos and stuff over. That'd be pretty cool, and I'll check it up on the channel and show you that. So, before we get into the Runefest summary, because it is pretty massive, I'm not going to lie, it's huge. There's loads of stuff to cover. Some other little things first. So, RS Max, since I got the Max cape, it doesn't really seem like it's the right name to keep for the new series. I will be going for comp, and pretty much what I need is to finish off the quests, which I'll probably do in a big quest week or something, because I'll be straight up 5 quests, because that's all I've got left. Maybe 6, could be 6. And that's pretty much it. It's that, Livid Farm and Dungeoneering in a nutshell. There's an odd mini quest here and there. It's like Dorak and putting the wizard back together. I can't remember his name. Or the name of the mini quest. But those as well, and I'll chuck those up as guides because everybody loves the guides, and it'll be pretty handy for anyone else going for comp as well, or in general just want the nice free XP and bonuses you get from them. So yeah, that's going to happen. So probably an RS comp on the Monday. If not, it'll just be like an update Monday just to let you know what's going on, what the hell I'm up to, because I do kind of get some random shit done, as you can see in the background. So basically last week was the big old boss week, and you guys were absolutely awesome. You gave me loads of different kinds of armor and weapon combos and stuff, and some bosses to go kill. And even though I wasn't recording quite a large chunk of it, I did go to quite a lot of bosses. Like you can see now, I did actually record this one, and kind of go in full on random gear, and whoever was in my friend's chat at the time kind of asked them to come along, and other random people, and we kind of had a good laugh. So in the background you can see KQ. There's some other ones in here as well. I've also tried Calvite King. Yeah, bet you wasn't expecting that. Me doing Calvite King, the nub bosser. Yeah, I did go to Calvite King. Me and a couple of mates basically went to KK. First time we've ever been there. None of us have been there before. And we're all lazy and none of us bothered checking out any guides. So it's pretty much going in blind and trying to work it out. Which is quite funny, gotta be said. And it's taken a while, but we've kind of got it down now. I say if we kind of got it down, I'm sure there's a lot more we could do, but yeah, we're getting a couple of kills per invent anyway. So all in all, not bad. We're doing pretty good, since we know absolutely nothing at all about what we're doing. Completely clueless. We are idiots. So there we go. That's that. So I have been doing Calvite King, and there is a Calvite King at the end of this, so if you want to have a little gander and see our attempt, you can feel free to. But yeah. So RS Comp, most likely going to happen. It will be the road to comp. It's going to be pretty straightforward though. The thing is, the one part of the comp is literally just going to be getting 15 Dungeoneering levels, and well, I think watching Dungeoneering week after week after week is going to be boring as shit. So I'll carry on doing what I did with RS Max, like chatting my normal nonsense as I do, and then any updates and telling you about the BTSs and things like that at the same time, because well, it's nice and easy that way. And on top of that, because it is comp now, and I've been doing quite a lot of bossing, because I'm finally away from all the skilling, I'll probably chuck in a couple of random boss vids and stuff. So that's the plan. On top of that, as you will know, I do have a noob in the Megan, and I'll be using that fella to get all the quest guides and stuff done that I've already done on Salmon and can't really do. So, possibly, we could have a nice little separate series for him on the go as well. You never know, I might take a break from comp at certain parts and we'll go to RS Noob or something along those lines. So if you want to know what the noob's doing, then I could possibly chuck up a video a day, like a nice little quick short one, 5, 10, 15 minutes, and just let you know what I'm doing, because at the moment he's in Freebuild, and some of you may or may not be interested in how I tend to level up in Freebuild and stuff. So yeah, different kind of things of how to level up. You never know, could be interesting. So I was thinking about doing that too. On top of that, because this boss week has been pretty cool and you guys have been pretty supportive and you seem to be enjoying it, I was thinking of maybe carrying it on. Although it won't be a video every single day as it was last week. Maybe a video a week or something. Just go into a random boss, something like that, something along those lines, or show you how I'm progressing at certain bosses, etc. Because I don't particularly use any guides. I didn't use any guides for the boss week last week. On top of that, there's always quite a few requests from you guys I still have yet to do. I was going to get the Sarah hard mode up Saturday, but Runefest was on, so I was watching that all day, trying to get all the notes down for the summary coming up in a bit. And then I was going to do it on the Sunday, but I thought I'll have myself a little break. I mean, even God had a break on Sunday. So there we go, that's that. So all in all, quite a few new things. I might change the RS boss thing up, and maybe I'll even challenge you guys. So I might randomly pick one of you, see if you're up for it, get you into my friends chat, and we'll have a little chat. And before it all starts, maybe have a little challenge. So say like we all go to Bandos, and every kill gets you a point, except for you've got to go in certain armor sets, and it keeps degrading, and you get like a penalty thing, kind of like DT. So for the next kill, none of us can wear body armor, for example, or you can only use two-handed weapons, or you can only use one-handed weapon, no shield, that kind of thing. So I reckon that'd be pretty cool and pretty interesting, because I get to meet you guys at the same time as having a laugh at bosses. So there we go, that's the way I'm thinking at the moment. RS lore, I'm sure many of you are wondering where the fuck's my lore salmon. Don't worry, it's coming. We're going back into the normal days at the moment. Probably won't be up this week, simply because the new Call of Duty's out and I've pretty much pre-ordered it, so I'm going to be playing that. Although I do have it on the PC, so if a lot of you want to see it, maybe I could possibly live stream it. I'm not sure if my PC is up to snuff to be able to live stream and play at the same time, but if not, I can always record a random game. And I'm telling you now, I am not good at COD, so brace yourselves. It's like watching a noob flail around. It's not going to be fun to watch, though it might be hilarious, and you could mock me relentlessly, but it's going to be really shitty play, I'm telling you now. So there we go, that could happen. Other than that, that's pretty much it for the moment. So RS Lore is coming, most likely won't be coming this week, but I will be checking them up, so don't you worry. Quest week will be coming up at some point, just so I can knock all those quests out for the comp rack, and everything else will be going along with it with the comp. So there we go. So moving on to the main thing you all probably come to this video for, the big old Runefest summary of Doom, and it is pretty massive. Where to start? Right then. Well, they started off with the celebrating story. And while this was literally talking about new quests and storylines they kind of want to go over, and a few little things like that, talking about the gods and stuff like that. So there's going to be 3 main storylines that some of the quests will revolve around. This will be this year and next year, most likely next year though. This is the Stone of Jazz. Missing Presumed Death is meant to be the start of this storyline, and basically it will kind of combine quests and world events to try and tell you the story about the Stone of Jazz and things like that. And as usual, the decisions in the quests and the world events will kind of come together to tell you what's going to happen next. And us, ourselves, will actually end up deciding who will get the Stone of Jazz at the end of it. Another one was about Zaros. I can't remember what it was called. It's the World Portal, I think they said it was about in the Celebrating story. It's going to be based around the World Portal. Basically, in this quest, they will expand on Zaros' background information, because pretty much nobody knows anything at all about Zaros. So it's going to go into Zaros a little bit, and probably, as far as I know, from what they said in a few of the other parts around the actual stream itself, you will try and help Zaros get back into the human world. That's the main thing of the quest itself. Basically, Zaros will talk to you and wants your help to get him back to the human world, and it's up to you to choose whether you want to help him or choose not to, because he's looking for a body. So yeah, that's a player's choice, and depending on which one you choose as well, apparently it'll change how Zaros looks when he does come. They did have an absolutely awesome looking design sheet for Zaros in the Runefest, but unfortunately I don't have a picture of it, so I can't really show you any of this. So that's that one. On top of that, in this quest, because it's part of the world portal kind of thing, supposedly we're going to be able to travel to Runefest, which is basically the home world of the Majora, and is supposedly linked with the Runefest Elder God, which is basically an evil-ass Elder God who kind of does whatever he wants. And he is a bit evil. And the other one they're meant to be carrying on with is the Dragonkin storyline. Not really sure what they're going to be doing with that, but supposedly, in combination with the world portal kind of thing, you'll expand on stuff like the Dragon Riders, and the KBD and the QBD, and the different clans within the Dragonkin themselves. As the Dragonkin are actually split up into different kind of clans. You've got the offensive people, which is like the one that was captured in the latest quest. And then you've got like a scientific or a tech path Dragonkin, and they were actually the ones that ended up creating QBD and things like that. So they're the three main storylines coming in the quests this year and next year, supposedly. On top of that, they did cover the God Hierarchy, which basically tells you the power table of all the gods, pretty much. So the weakest of the lot is Tier 7, and it goes all the way up to the most powerful in Tier 1. So in Tier 7 you have avatars and aspects, stuff like the avatar of Bandos, Mechan, and kind of like minor gods or barely gods kind of things. These things aren't affected by the edicts, which is why pre-6th Age you had like the avatar of Bandos instead of Bandos himself, etc. Moving up to Tier 6 you have demigods. These are pretty much the children of gods. So people like Icthlarin and Amascut, and a lot of the desert gods, like the younger ones, are all in there as well, like the crocodile and all that. These are also not affected by the edicts, but they have enough power to open small portals to other realms, which is why Icthlarin was able to open up a portal to Runefest and bring the Majora through in the Second Age. In Tier 5 you have inexperienced gods. These are slightly stronger, and I suppose you could call them minor gods. These are things like Brassica Prime, the giant cabbage, and Marimbo, the monkey god. So, yeah, it might actually not be the monkey god, I can't remember. Either way, Marimbo and Brassica Prime were listed. Cabbage and I can't remember what Marimbo is, so whatever. These are largely affected by the edicts, though. There are some exceptions, though, as Zamorak and Saradomin did fight in the Battle of Lumbridge, and Zamorak lost this. Prior to the Battle of Lumbridge, Zamorak was a Tier 4 god, but since he's lost and some of his power has now gone to Saradomin, Zamorak has actually dropped a tier and he's now in Tier 5, although he's not affected at all at the moment. So in Tier 4 you have the experienced gods, and these are the gods everyone kind of knows and has seen, or at least heard about. These are the gods such as Bandos, Armadil, Saradomin, Zamorak used to be in this tier, and also Tusker. Now if you don't know who Tusker is, that was from the Naragi Wars pre-Gillinor. If you don't know anything about it, then go and watch the first episode or second episode of RuneScape Lore. It's in the playlist on the channel. That'll tell you all about him. Skargarath is also in this power tier as well, although he is actually dead at the moment, so either way. These fellas are affected by the edicts, and Tusker, they actually revealed, will be seen within future content. So Tusker is coming to RS. And since the Battle of Lumbridge, obviously Saradomin, although he used to be in Tier 4, because he beat Zamorak and stole some of his power, he's now up to level, and he is moved to Tier 3. And he's actually the only one in Tier 3. So he's kind of the leeway between the regular gods and moving up to the powerful gods, also called transcendent gods, supposedly. So in Tier 2, you have the transcendent gods, and these are Guthix, Zaros, and Seren. Now, these three gods can manipulate and mutate life in a way. They can't create it, although they can make deviations from what is already in front of them. Although Guthix is actually completely and utterly dead, he is out of the game, good night Guthix. But Zaros and Seren, are both in this tier, so they are immensely powerful gods. Like, insanely so, which is why Zaros nearly conquered the entirety of the world in the Second Age. So there we go. The thing is, Zaros is currently outside of Gielinor and can't get in at the moment, and Seren has been split into about a bajillion pieces. So yeah, both of them are kind of out of the game at the moment until they come back. And then finally you have the tier 1 gods. These are the Elder Gods. This is Jazzful, Frenesque, Creator God. These fellas can create life, they can rip apart planets, they can pretty much do whatever the hell they feel like because no one can stand up to them. Yeah, basically the Mac Daddies of RS. On top of that, the Elven quests aren't forgotten about and they will be expanded on. Kind of think of a Morning's End Part 3, although hopefully a lot less annoying than Morning's End Part 2. But with that, it'll bring in Previthinus and things like that, but I'll go into that later. Mod Anna actually said that she would like 2 more vampire quests to finish the vampire storyline, but nothing is in development for the vampires at the moment. Basically that'll go into more history about Vanstrom and hopefully bring Draken into the game and actually be able to see him. And they also want to expand on stuff like the werewolves and have them hopefully get their own quest line. Basically we also found out that the choices from a lot of the quests in the game have actually been tracked, such as your choices within the Blood Pact, whether or not you chose to kill people in some of the Fremies, and a lot of things like that. Small things, but not massively. All of them have been tracked, and it was on there. They had a big ass list and kind of gave you the percentages of everything. It's pretty interesting to see, gotta be honest. The Elder Gods are still on the planet as well. That's been confirmed. The first episode of RuneScape Lore actually covered the Elder Gods, and it was unconfirmed whether or not they was just in space or doing something else, twiddling the thumb somewhere, or whether they was part of the planet. So now they are, and supposedly players have already interacted with them. So there we go. The first Elder God will actually be seen in game, and that's hopefully going to be in first quarter of 2014, so something along the lines of January to March or April. Basically they have a bunch of concept art and stuff, and yeah, Elder Gods are going to be in RuneScape, and they're apparently going to be very pissed off the fact that lots of small little tiny people are running around on their planet. So yeah, we could have a nice little domination game. It'd be like the gods and humans versus the Elder Gods. We'll see what happens though. Zaros has been announced to never be featured within any world events. However, he will feature within quests though. This is basically tying into the Second Age storyline, where he kind of went on a massive rampage, got involved with all the wars, and basically got fucked over by Zamorak. Apparently he's learnt from his mistakes, and instead of taking a big massive army, he's going to do a bit of subterfuge and kind of sneaky under the table deals. So yeah, Zaros is going to be a bit of a bitch. Moving on though, we move on to the big questions. This was another little thing they did. Basically they kind of answered a few questions on bonds and kind of gave some numbers and stuff. 25k bonds have apparently been gifted between players. 12k long-term free-to-play players have become members thanks to bonds. A huge number of years of membership have been redeemed. 60% of the bonds were used for this. And 8 million rune coins were also redeemed by about 30 to 35% of the bonds. Mod MMG mentions that Jagex tried suing when they can against guild farmers, but most of the time they can't due to them being in China, Korea, and is basically pissing up against a wall. Basically, China and Korea couldn't give a flying fuck because it's revenue from foreign exchange for them. So why would they? And with that, nothing really happens. If Jagex had a base in China or Korea, then maybe they could, but without that, apparently not. Additionally, Mod Jackmob mentions that Jagex have an advanced tracking system that really isn't being used at the moment, and basically tells us that it can track the differences of each player when 2 separate people are on one account, when they switch to a different PC but are still on the same account, things like that, if they're logging in completely random places, etc, etc. And supposedly botting will never come back due to the system updates and things like that, so it's basically preventing new bots and stuff like that from coming. So all in all, it's meant to be pretty future-proof for this anti-bot tech. We'll see. Moving on, you have ideas for the future. This was a really interesting one. A lot of the things in here actually sounded pretty good. So the first one off the bat is the construction rework. We've heard about this a few times, but they kind of went into a bit more detail. So in a nutshell, the construction rework will be custom-sized rooms and hallways and stuff. You can place furniture wherever you want instead of at hotspots. There'll be about 20 or so large plots of land located randomly around the world, and on these plots you can build houses. They will be instants, so you'll always see yours, and additionally you can choose to see your friends' houses on plots you don't actually use. So you choose one plot out of the 20, you build your house there, and the other 19 you can place your friends' houses, kind of thing, and they'd kind of be shared between you. So that's pretty cool. On top of that, they're going to be adding new training methods to avoid it just being a furniture making skill, and basically allow players to buy a plot of land and maybe have some NPCs nearby or within the instance of some kind, and they could help you by giving you like orders or build orders or to build certain houses on empty plots. So it may be something simple like, yeah, build me a straw house and I want a seat. So you build them a straw house and you build a seat, job done. Massive chunk of construction XP on top of your actual construction XP. That's the basic idea of the construction rework in a nutshell. Moving on, they also mentioned summoning. They actually want to fix summoning along with EOC, but there's simply not enough time at the moment. They want it to change from what it is now. At the moment, when you level summoning, you basically just go down to an obelisk and build a pouch, job done. That's your summoning XP. And if you can even be asked to use summoning, then you'd summon something. But most of the time, you really don't. They want to change it, so you can actually level up your summoning simply by using summons themselves, rather than just making pouches over and over and over and over and over. What they mean by this is you could summon, I don't know, like a war turtle, but let's say you used him in a combat role rather than a beast of burden or simultaneously. Over a period of time, they kind of want it so familiars would actually level up, so you're not stuck to at 99 summoning using a Steel Titan for everything, because let's face it, it rapes everything else compared to damage. They want to change it so you can actually level up other things. So you could go get yourself a rock lobster or something, level it up a bunch, and suddenly it's become uber powerful. That kind of thing, that's what they want to do to summoning. It sounds pretty nifty, makes summoning a bit easier to level, and it'd be kind of interesting to see combat familiars actually being useful, because right now, not really. They're also going to be touching on agility. Basically, they hate the way run energy is as a mechanic, but unfortunately can't get rid of it yet, unless they can find something else that would be able to replace it and help them in another way. They want to kind of add other things to it, so agility could potentially speed up doing events such as fletching, or maybe woodcutting, things like that, kind of like they did with fishing. So you can actually catch stuff barehanded, same with hunter. They also want to add more useful teleports, don't ask me why. The cross between shortcuts and dungeoneering skill dungeons, and kind of add in, they want to add new things, kind of random things, so a lot more shortcuts and things like that, so your agility is more useful in general. And they kind of want to do some random little placements, such as being able to climb up the pillars in the GE, and you can just sit on top of the little round circular thing across the top of the GE just to show off, because you're a boss. Little things like that. So just kind of make things a bit more interactive and agility a bit more useful in general. Because honestly, the only reason you level it is to actually run for longer, and that's it. That's the only reason to touch it. That and getting a max cape, let's face it. They also mentioned mining and smithing. Now this one was the most interesting of the lot, because it does actually sound really awesome. Basically they want to fix the level system in it right now, which basically means entirely changing the smithing bracket. So squashing it down, so actually making rune armor and stuff would only be about 50 smithing, etc. They also want to add new tiers of metals, not adding dragon ore, but kind of add in like a dragon-ish metal. So instead of making dragon armor, because it's been lost in the ages for whatever reason, you'd make something like dragon scale armor, which would be the equivalent of dragon, but the actual makeable kind of thing. It'd be a little less in stats than dragon, just so dragon keeps its usefulness. That kind of stuff. Armor and stuff left from the Third Age Wars and stuff would be kind of like dug up, and you'd be able to fuse them into a new kind of metal, and that could then be gathered and manipulated, and with that you could make Barrow's weapons and Barrow's armor, although it'd be slightly less than Barrow's. They also want to add a level up smithing by combining weapons together. This kind of ties into keeping Dragon and Barrows actually worth it, to actually go down and get the items themselves. If you think, for example, if you just build, let's say, a Dragon Longsword, you literally just smith up a Dragon Longsword, it'd be at tier 0. Whereas a Dragon Longsword getting from a drop or from a shop would be at +5, for example. And the difference between +0 and +5 would be a massive jump in stats or some random crit strikes and stuff like that. But they want to add the abilities so smithing isn't just like it is right now, where you build a sword and then it's useless. Or you build a bajillion swords and suddenly 99 smithing. They want to get rid of that simply because it's just flooding the market with items which are all at ALC price already. What they plan to do is allow you to combine items together to put it up a tier. So you could take 2 Dragon Longswords you've just made, combine them together, and you've now got a Dragon Longsword +1. And then to make a +2, you'd need 2 Dragon Longswords together to make a +1, another set of 2 Dragon Longswords to make a +1, so you've now got 2 +1s, and you combine those together to make a +2, etc, up to +5. So all in all, that would get rid of a lot of the crap in the game, and players could then make plus whatever they want with whatever they can build. They also want to change mining as well in a very similar way. They want to add deposit areas by mining spots to avoid drop mining, so you actually get to keep ores, and some new high level rewards and stuff. And additionally, if this mining and smithing rework goes well, they would want to use it as a template for other skills such as crafting. So they could crush crafting down and add a bunch of new stuff to crafting, and then you could have +5 crafting items and things like that. Another thing they mentioned was the 200th quest, and this is going to be the Elven quest, or at least it plans to be the Elven quest. Basically, they really want Providence to be released. Instead of being released all at once, they want to open it up over time. So 1 week crystal crafting, another week would be crystal construction and combat, and basically they mentioned the Seren is the city. Basically they want Providence to be a high level place. At the moment everyone just kind of congregates around Edgeville and Varrock simply because the G's there, and it's kind of like the central hub to go wherever the hell you feel like, because you've got a Fear Ring there as well as the GE. So yeah, it's kind of like the central high level area as well as the low level area. They kind of want to change it and hopefully make Providence into the high level area, so the low level area would stay in Varrock kind of thing. So in other words, they'd be adding a GE into Providence. The idea for it is kind of like a Morning's End Part 3, but it's slightly different. They kind of changed it. They may change it to like a large world event mixture, and it'd be focused around Seren, for example, where the player base is working together to gain the shards of Seren and basically put her back together, so Seren comes back to the game and she gets like knee deep into the God Wars. That'd be pretty interesting, gotta be honest. At the moment it's around 185 quests. They did mention, however, that if they can get the Elf quest out earlier than the 200th quest, they will do it as soon as possible. It's also going to be a Grandmaster quest for the Elves as well, and they'd also probably be adding additional low-level quests for kind of like history and lore and stories, stuff like that for the Elves. So basically expanding on the elves in general. Additionally, Seren may react in a different way compared to usual, because Seren is typically just the peacefulest god out of the lot. She kind of protected the elves and avoided war at all costs. But now the Guthix is dead, and she kind of shattered into a bajillion pieces, and her pieces have been used by everybody. She may just go batshit insane and annihilate everybody. So that could be pretty interesting in and of itself, which is why I think they should add the world event to put her together, just to see if she's mental. I find it amusing anyway, sod you all. They did mention they're also going to be trying to get RuneScape on the tablet and mobile. They did mention this quite a while ago, like a really long time ago. Basically, they're in the middle of making the app for mobiles, and that would allow you to access stuff like the G, the forums, and a few other useful things like that. Clan and all that crap. Basically, all in a nice, neat little app, so you can basically check random stuff out wherever you are at any given time. And eventually, they kind of want to add stuff like small mini games on there, but as part of RuneScape. So, for example, there'd be like a woodcutting mini game. You chop logs and stuff, and the logs you actually gain from the mini game will actually go to your account. So yeah, they're on about adding that. They've also talked about the HTML5 engine, and they basically outright said that HTML5 is limited at the moment due to simply browser limitation. So they're kind of waiting on Mozilla, Google, and Microsoft and stuff to actually up their browsers and increase the capability of them. So yeah, that's pretty much the status of HTML5. They're working on bringing out HTML5 out of the browser and moving away from Java outright, improved performance over Java with the graphics of HTML5 kind of thing. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. So they also talked about some kind of weird things, which are a bit odd, but some sounded pretty cool, or interesting I should say, and others maybe not, although I suppose it's personal preference at the end of the day. In quotes, what if there was another game like RuneScape, but everything is hostile towards you and it's based on survival? So basically, DayZ meets RuneScape. That's what I got from that pretty much. It's like DayZ RuneScape style. So everyone is aggressive, the whole world is basically trying to kill you, all the enemies are aggressive, and you get all your stuff and stuff like you normally would in RuneScape, and once you die, that's it, game over. Probably less skills, probably no skills whatsoever, but it'd be like DayZ, we just go around and gather stuff, make stuff out of random crap you randomly found, and go kill everybody, because that's what you do. Another one was, what if there was another game like RuneScape, but it had a clean slate, and the community actually built the world, discovering new places, everything is built by the players. So think, if for those of you who actually played back then, as soon as RS2 came out, you had like a base world, or a game like Minecraft just in RuneScape world. You have a completely base world, and you won't be able to just like pick up blocks and stuff like you do in Minecraft, but what they mean is they'd have like content polls and things like that, so all the players choose what is actually going to be added to the game, kind of like what they're doing in 07. Basically that, just with a nice, fresh, clean slate. And that was the other thing they mentioned. So there we go. And they outright said that they want more player input over the next year, so they're going to be adding more guaranteed content polls and stuff like that. So yeah, we actually have a say in what's going to be coming out apparently. Additionally, they had the Rune quiz, which is a bit meh. They didn't stream the evolution of PvP talk, but they did cover it a little bit. One of the mods was in the quiz and a few other ones, and he was talking about it a little bit. They're going to be making shields a lot more useful in PvP, as in actually giving you a reason to actually use a shield in PvP. They also want to bring back life into PvP by slowing down the fights themselves. I don't mean like proper full-on slow motion fights, but lower damaged or increased health in PvP. So, say for example you go over to a random boss, you use something like asphyxiation or an alt ability and you hit like 5k, that's your standard. At the moment, it's pretty much the same if you do PvP. You just smack off 5k and it's over before it even starts. So instead of it doing that, they want to lower the damage down so fights actually give you a chance to actually genuinely fight. Which is what they should have done in the first place, let's be honest. But they lower it down so if you're randomly attacked out of nowhere, you have enough time to actually figure out what the hell is going on and mount up a defense and maybe even counterattack and kill. So yeah, that's basically what they want to do to PvP. Also a few other things, but unfortunately I forgot to write them down. Yeah, my bad. Some other talks, they was talking about player mods. Basically they won't be opening up player mods to everybody because apparently everyone keeps asking, can I be a player mod? Is there a way to open up player mod applications, etc, etc. Short answer, no. Long answer, no, there's just too many people who would actually go in there and it'll take too long to go through thousands of people. Fair enough, like. Lots of YouTubers / people in social media and clan leaders to show community involvement. Talking about player mods, how people are chosen, I suppose. And looking for players who are helpful and engaging, whether in-game or on forums. And they're also looking for more Spanish, North American and Australian mods. Mostly trying to get helpful players in each time zone. They also went into the TheCompleteRS brothers a little bit, although we didn't actually get to see much footage of it actually, although people at Runefest did actually get to play it. Supposedly it's an insanely hard fight, and no one at Runefest, when they was actually talking about this, had beaten it. It needs to have 4 competent PVMers. Chris L said that in Virago you can have a few bad players and it's still possible, but in TheCompleteRS everyone has to be good or you're fucked. Well, alright, granted, he might not have said fucked, but he did say unbeatable. Additionally, the pets are meant to look super cute, if you're into pets. There we go. RuneScape for 2014. 18 plus months of content have been planned and are actually in the work. Mark talks about how this is just a plan and that they'd rather put out good content over rushed hash content. They also talked about the new skill, the Inventor skill. It's actually officially got a name now. And this is the second skill partnered to the divination skill. Basically it's going to be a technological revolution in RuneScape. You can take the divine energies of Guthix and combine it with existing inventions such as the dwarven contraptions. New defense against the gods could give players the opportunity to fight back directly against gods, and it also mentions the godless class at the same time. Basically, Inventor skill in a nutshell, you'll end up making a massive, huge contraption, probably some combination of like the dwarven stuff and the goblin electricity and things like that. And with this huge, massive contraction, you add a bollock ton of raw materials, and stuff comes out. Pretty much. It's meant to be a support skill. It's not really anything like you've seen before. Right now we've got the basic skills such as gather, production, and then combat or passive skills such as agility would be passive, combat would be combats, etc, etc. This is more of a support. It'll take a culmination of all of your skills to make stuff with the Inventor skill. You could combine. They had a couple of pictures on there. They look really weird, and I can vaguely remember them. But the one had like a Drago rapier or longsword as the main weapon, and through the Inventor skill, they added some other stuff to it, and it had like a Virax flail near the hilt, and you had a God Sword hilt on it itself, and it's kind of like a boosted weapon kind of thing. So it kind of takes a little culmination of everything, and I'm assuming it'd be the same with food and stuff like that, or you combine food to it and maybe it'd heal you every hit. Who knows? But yeah, it's going to be a culmination of all the skills into one to make a bunch of support, weapons, armors, food, potions, etc, etc. All in all, it does sound pretty funky. Players with pyrotechnics, lightning conductors, explosive, etc. think of it as a medieval alchemist that are experimenting. Sometimes you can find rare plans / blueprints and you earn inspiration. It may be that for some items you may actually have to go out, kill bosses or something along those lines to obtain blueprints before you can make the actual item itself. So it's not just going to be, right, we've got these super powered level 90 weapons, they're going to outshine everything that's in the possible game, and everyone can make them straight off the bat. It's more of, you have some powerful weapons in there, but unless you go out of your way to get blueprints, you are fucked. And you're not going to be able to make them. So yeah, it's not bad, it sounds pretty good. I've got to be honest, I'm looking forward to the Inventor skill. They did mention as well that it is going to be slightly buyable, so those of you who are rich as shit, you will be able to get a slight advantage, although it's not going to be complete and utter domination like construction was. So basically if you had money, you had 99 construction. If you didn't, oh well, unlucky. They're going to be adding new pocket slot items and enhancements to combat through the pocket slot and a few other things. They're going to add massive large workshops for you to actually do the Inventor skill within, although supposedly you can do it anywhere in the game. It's going to be a relatively slow skill with some buyable elements, as I just said, for the Mega Rich. So some items are probably going to cost you an absolute bollock ton for doing certain items. They've also come up with the idea that items will be able to level themselves up. Basically you could make a soul weapon or a soul leader weapon, whatever you want to call it. And this thing will actually talk. And at random points it'll just say, "Oh you Dave, go kill 50 green dragons bitch, I'm hungry." You go out there, you kill 50 of them, and it'll level up the sword a little bit, so it'll add a couple of stats in there, etc, etc. So it's kind of like a mini baby slayer assignment, except for it could be absolutely anything. So yeah, there we go. Those are soul weapons and the Inventor skill pretty much. The next world event was confirmed as well for those of you interested. It will definitely be Bandos versus Armadillo. So there we go. They're going to change it slightly though. People were moaning about Battle of Lumbridge being a bit too passive. I mean, you go in there and you see people with the enemy god sign above their head, and you feel like slapping them in the face, but unfortunately you can't because it's not PvP area. That's going to change. In the next event, you can actually choose to be PvP or not PvP. You can turn it on or off whenever you want. I'm assuming there'll probably be like a 30-second or a minute cooldown before you switch though. So it's not going to be absolute hacks where if you're about to die you just turn it off. So this would make the battlefield a bit more chaotic. You'll have players raping each other, you would have actual enemies, NPCs fighting against each other, as well as some new things, such as huge weapons of destruction on each god's side. To top it off, whoever loses this second world event will be permanently dead. So either Bandos or Armadillo is going to be dead at the end of this event. They will not be coming back. And throughout these wars you can build towers to help NPCs, or you can just simply protect them, either way. They also mentioned the next world event after that, the third one, and it's supposedly going to be Marimbo versus Brassica Prime. It's going to be a massive mini-game apparently. And on the subject of mini-games, they're going to be revamping the shit out of them. Basically they've actually noticed a lot of people moaning about it, and the fact that nobody's really playing a lot of mini-games. And they're going to be reworking them, giving them new graphics, new ways to play, new rewards, XP rates, etc, etc. This is going to be entirely driven by player votes and suggestions, so which one do you want reworked? This is going to go hand in hand with the guaranteed content polls and a few other ideas they have. Mob Mark says waiting for minigames sucks and that they're a noob sometimes and this turns people away from the minigames. Or you want to wait for your friends although they're in a different game and then blah blah blah. So in turn to fix that, they're going to be adding a matchmaking system. So what this means is anywhere in the world of RuneScape, as long as you're logged in, you can click on this little matchmaking system. You can choose what game you want to play. You can specify who you want to play it with or level restrictions, etc. And at a click of a button, it'll just tell you to wait until they actually find a room/game for you to join. And as soon as they find one, the window will pop up and ask you, are you ready? Would you like to teleport now? Say yes, and you'll be instantly in the minigame with the chosen people. So if you want to play with your friends or against your friends, vice versa, etc, etc, then you'll be able to do that within the matchmaking system. They're also going to be improving the rewards from a lot of the junk minigames. I say junk, they're not junk, it's just they're so useless and so pointless to gain XP wise in the rewards. It's just not worth the time, so no one does them. They're also going to be doing boss reworks, such as the Giant Mole, which was kind of an interesting one they kind of liked, as well as stuff like the Slayer Dungeon bosses from Smoke and Kills. They're going to give it a second mechanic. For low levels, they're going to leave them kind of as is, and it'll be like an introduction to bossing within RuneScape. Let's say 100 to 140 combat, you go in, and you'll be able to kill the Giant Mole and stuff as boss fights, as they would actually be hard enough for a boss fight kind of thing. On top of that, they did mention something along the lines of giving Giant Mole a hard mode. So if you go in there in like level 200 and going in for the full rape, you could go in there in hard mode and it'd be reversed and Giant Mole would suddenly be immensely powerful. So that's pretty cool. The fact they are actually thinking about all of the dead content. So, the next topic, although it didn't go on for very long and I didn't catch much of it, is 07scape stuff. Basically they have to sit down with the mods that actually kind of manage 07 on the Doug. Excuse me. And basically they had a nice little conversation between them and the players. And throughout it he mentioned quite a few things, but the main parts were they're going to be adding white dragons and white dragon hide armor, or whatever they're going to eventually call it. It'll be from the white dragons either way. And this is going to be kind of like either a high brand new level boss, and maybe when it gets down to a certain amount of life, it'll spawn, say, black dragons or mini white dragons to come and attack you, and it'd be like a big epic boss battle. That's what they mentioned. They also mentioned a Kraken type boss. So I suppose easier way to think of it is kind of like the Kiln final boss in some ways. The only other place I can think of a Kraken in RuneScape is during the Mauritania minigame. But right now, top of my head, can't remember what it's called. They're also going to be adding kind of like a necromancy or summoning, or at least they're thinking about it, depends on what players want, where you place certain items down in certain places and you'll be able to actually summon creatures. Less like Tower of Life, more like, say you're killing blue dragons but everyone's there. If you have the items on you, you can place it down whilst in the blue dragon area and it'll spawn a blue dragon for you. That kind of thing. They're also going to be adding new quests about forgotten NPCs and explain who they are, where they come from, and their backstory kind of thing. That's pretty much all I got for the 07, but the White Dragons, brand new boss, as well as the Kraken. People also asked for a corp. They wanted a Corporal Beast. And in response they basically said, with the way the tech is in 07 and the way the memory allocation stuff works, you're not going to get Corp as you know it. It's not going to be the same. So they're not going to call it Corp. They can make something similar, but it wouldn't be Corp because they don't have any of the graphics and they don't have a graphic team, and the graphics for Corp itself were made during the 09 engine or whenever the hell it came out. So it's in a different format than it is for 07, which basically means tough, you're not having it kind of thing. But yeah, they were on about if people ask for it enough and people really, really want it, then yeah, they can make a Corp-like boss. They just call it something different. Because it wouldn't be Corp, and it wouldn't be what everyone knows as Corp. So there we go. Hopefully that explained that. So Corp is potentially available. You just need to harass them. Do it now. Additionally, they're going to be upgrading player-owned ports. There's going to be a nice big old update. There's going to be 2 new islands as well as 8 new locations. There's going to be 3 new adventurers known as the Architect, the Cook and the Hunter. Guess what skills they're going to be. And on top of that, they're going to be adding 62 new voyagers. 2 new trade goods will come along with it, and a massive amount of crew members. There's like 30 or 40 something like that. They're going to be adding 8 new upgrades to the ship as well. New random events besides just Meg and the barmaid and the ninjas. And additionally, they're going to be adding new items. And this is going to be level 85 weapons. He does mention thrown weapons inside there as well, so maybe some darts for range, or knives or something along those lines. Additionally, they're going to have level 85 capes and rings in player-owned ports. I honestly thought it would have been hybrid gear, Because let's face it, that would have made a lot more sense than adding this crap first. But never mind. Maybe player imports 3. Either way, it's going to be new weapons, capes and rings for level 85, which is going to be pretty nice anyway, because, well, it's going to be a nice bridge between Chaotic and Drygore. So there we go. They go into a bit further detail on the Zaros quest. It's going to be called Fate of the Gods. You can explore horror, the secrets of the world, everything. Origins of Gielinor itself, including the Elder Gods. It's going to be a Master Quest Plus. You'll have new divination targets, as well as rewards and new slayer monsters. The outcome of this quest will decide how Zaros actually looks, and players throughout the quest will need to find a body for Zaros to actually inhabit. Whether you choose to actually help Zaros or not will change his appearance. Although I'm assuming it'll probably be every single player's choice put together will eventually decide it. So if 40% of the player base decides, no, I'm not going to help Zaros, and 60% said, yes, I will, then he'll have the yes look of concept art, was what he'll look like. Probably more evil. I'm going with the evil. Additionally, they mentioned the Valley of the Dead, basically community-built experimental idea. It's going to be working with PvPers. What if there was a new PvP land with new resources with unknown targets? If you die, you're out. Every time you die, it changes. Sometimes it'll be traps or poisonous plants laid about. Other times you'll just instantly run into players who'll rape you, etc, etc. It'll run on a beta world first. It'll be, I suppose, kind of like a mini RuneScape, from what he was saying. Kind of like a separate game, but at the same time, kind of not. Basically, you jump onto it, and it would be a full-on PvP kind of thing. It'd be a survival PvP. Kind of like what I mentioned earlier on. Additionally, they're going to be adding skiller bosses, or a skiller boss 1. Just one of them, maybe. This boss will require no combat skills whatsoever, and it'll be aimed at people with 90 plus in skills. Basically, to keep the skillers happy, because apparently they want a boss, yet at the same time limit themselves to level 3. God knows why they don't make a second account and just make that a combat only, but there we go. Basically, you're going to be adding a skiller boss, so you need to kill it with skills Henri. It's going to be cooperative as well as solo, and think of it as a giant snake with a bunch of baby snakes all around. You'll have to go fishing to get food to distract the giant snake. Meanwhile, using woodcutting to chop down the trees that the mini snakes are on so you can capture them, or some random crap like that. That's what they was on about. Basically, it's going to be a boss, and the only way to kill it is with skills. Yeah. I don't see much point in that, but either way. The Rite of Passage quest, another quest again. It's going to tell you about the history of Armadyl and how he came into being, because let's face it, we know pretty much nothing about him. He came to Gielinor, and he was originally Aviancy, and apparently he became a god somehow. All of the people decided, yeah, let's follow him, why not? And then he disappeared after the Third Age and kind of flew around moons and stuff. Yeah, don't ask me why, but he did. Apparently he likes shiny things. They're also talking about adding more competition to the game. Basically, Mob Mark talks about the prestige system and how players pretty much shot it down. Mentions the high scores for skills and some regional high scores, so depending on what country you're in, etc. And they still want to add something else, not necessarily prestige, but something to aim for past like the 99 level, or maybe even past the 200 mil cap. But whether or not people can think of it or they can think of it themselves is a different matter. And finally, they're also going to add something called the Church of You. The entire idea behind it is there's a Heroes Guild, there's a Champions Guild, there's a Legends Guild. Yet, all these people who are hailed as heroes, legends and stuff, well, let's face it, we've killed gods, we've poked gods in the face, we've watched gods die, we've argued with gods, we've poked them in the eye. We've saved entire civilizations, we've saved villages, countries, people, hundreds of people actually by this point I would have thought. And yeah, we should have a Church of Us, because we're fucking awesome. And that's what's going to happen. So there's going to be a Church of You. And there's going to be a bunch of NPCs and stuff in there. You can make your followers and they'll come along with you. Maybe they'll act like combat summons, who knows. Basically you'll get different quests or mini quests every week or month or something like that, and you'll gain followers and stuff. It'll be kind of like a mini Kingdom of Miscellaneous at the same time as like a Sims, at the same time as you don't actually have to bother with it at all. If you don't want to, you can just tell them all to fuck off. So either way, that's going to be added. They also mentioned they brought in players with ideas for updates to RuneScape, and basically they shot their ideas to 5 different mods, and the winner said, well, they were said to be added into the game, their idea. So this is what's going to be changed. Barbarian Assault is now going to get a hard mode, and that's pretty much it. So there's going to be a hard mode in Barbarian Assault. I've never played Barbarian Assault, and I probably never will, unless it turns into a trim comp requirement. And if it is, then, well, a normal comp requirement, sorry, not trim rack. But yeah, normal requirement. If it becomes that, then yeah, I'll have to play the fucking thing. But if not, good times. I'm never touching it in my life, because it's shit. And additionally, they also mentioned that defeating the Super Barrows brothers will actually be a trimmed comp requirement. So there we go. That is everything. Everything. Like I said, there is a lot of crap to cover. A massive amount of Runefest summary, to be honest. So there we go. Hopefully you are now fully aware of what happened in Runefest if you happen to miss the stream or you didn't attend. Either way, I'm pretty sure that is about 80-90% of the content in Runefest. So hopefully I can get the pictures and the videos off my buddy who actually attended, and as soon as I do, I'll chuck them up for you. So until next time, people, I will catch you all later. Hope you all enjoyed. See you again.